When you muscle test that the origin of somebody's problem is past life trauma, then first you need to check in with the belief system of the person you're working with. Do they believe that we have previous incarnations? And I usually call it the theory of reincarnation, even though in my mind there's no question. And if you actually look at the evidence, it's overwhelmingly in proof that there is reincarnation. There was the work of a researcher, Ian Stevenson, who did extensive work with children who had had past life memories. In India, there would be children who would say, I was so-and-so's wife in this other town, and they would take them over there and they would recognize the house, but they would say, there's supposed to be a door here. And then it turned out that since they had died, a door was removed, and they would recognize people and sometimes even recognize a former partner. And those were very tender moments. There are 2 books from the American culture about past life trauma that are quite remarkable. One is James Leininger's story. There's another book called Looking for Carol Beckwith, the true story of a detective's search for his past life. And this is about Captain Robert Snow, who was a captain in the Indianapolis Police Force. One day he went to a party with his wife, and on a dare, somebody dared him to get hypnosis. And being a captain, he really couldn't say, no, I'm too chicken to do that. So he took the dare, had a session of hypnosis, remembered a miserable life in a cave, dying of pneumonia in a cold stone floor, and he had very strong images of a painter painting especially 2 pictures, one a still life and another of a hunchback woman. And he could remember every detail of every brush stroke. And he remembered a whole bunch of things about that person's life. When he came out of the hypnotic session, he said to himself, oh, no, reincarnation cannot be true. It must just be that I saw the picture somewhere, and that's why I remembered this. So he set out to find this picture. He thought, how hard should that be to find a picture of a humpback woman? And he searched for 2 years, finally gave up. Then he was in New Orleans with his wife on a holiday, and he went into an art gallery, and there was the picture of the hunchback woman. And he said, I've been in a lot of shootouts, and I have never been so frightened as I was when I saw that picture, because it challenged his belief system that there was no reincarnation. He found, well, first he just stood immobilized for 5 minutes, and then he found that the artist who painted that was Carol Beckwith. And in New York on microfilm were the notes from Carol Beckwith's diary. So as a detective, he compared what he saw in the notes with what he had remembered in his regression, and he said, as a scientist, I have to say there were 22 direct correlations, and that is far above what chance could have ever done. So he also tried to disprove it. He tried so hard to disprove it, but wound up saying, the only explanation is that my soul lived in this body. So that's the idea, that we have a number of incarnations. It's like we can't learn everything in one lifetime. It would be like saying I'm going to become a brain surgeon and going to kindergarten and then starting to do brain surgery. You just can't learn enough in the short lifespans that we have. So I like to think of it as trading in an old car for a new car. And to the soul, that's what it's like when we reincarnate. Does this physical vehicle wears out or crashes up occasionally and you need a new car? How many of you are driving the same car you were when you started driving? No. How do you like getting a new car? you have new models and they do better things. And so that's what it is to the soul. Now to the physical body, death looks disastrous because yes, the physical will fall apart. But there's a spiritual part of us that will never die and can take on different reincarnations. If a person has a belief system that says, no, I don't believe in reincarnation, and the reason I say this is because I grew up believing that was a heresy. I knew that we had one life, and at the end of that life was the judgment day, and you either went upstairs if you had been good or downstairs if you had been bad. And in high school, my younger sister tried so hard to convince me of reincarnation, but I knew I was right, and that was heresy, and I would not even read the books. You know, she has really had the last laugh there. But I was so entrenched in that belief system because I had a personal connection with divine energy through the vehicle of Jesus Christ. And that's the face God wears for me. And that was a living divine connection that I felt present with me in my heart of love and safety. And I wasn't going to give that up for some heresy. And I didn't know at the time that actually Jesus believed in reincarnation. That was a shock to me when I found out that the Gnostic Church and the early people did believe in it. But then, along about the 500s, there was a political decision made in the church to have the group that believed in reincarnation silenced, and the church, the Catholic Church, decided it was a heresy. The church tried to suppress this model, and yet underground there's something inherent in us that knows what is true and what is not true. As we wake up and start to have memories of our past lives, it's like once you have a direct experience of being in the mindset and the emotional field of someone in another time and place, it's real, and you don't need a scientific study to prove it because you have that direct experience. But for people whose belief systems don't allow that, I talk about it as an ancestral wound. That the sins of the parents can be passed to the children. It says that in the Bible several places, that the sins of the fathers are visited upon the offspring from either 3 to 5 or 7 generations. So you can treat it as if it's an ancestor, and we have two kinds of ancestors. One kind is our DNA bloodline, and the other kind is our previous incarnations. They are our soul ancestors. Some people say, well, why work with past life trauma? This is the important lifetime. And, you know, that's true. This is the important one. We are here now. But it seems to work like this. We're in heaven, in the astral world, and we say, I want to take another course. I want to learn some more. And like this time, I really want to master, let's see, how about forgiveness? So we set it up with our soul team, and if you're going to be able to really exercise that forgiveness muscle, somebody's got to hurt you, so there's something to forgive. So you look around your soul group and you say, who will be that person who loves me enough to play the bad guy? And somebody who really cares about your soul enough to come in and be that opposition for you to develop your strength. That takes a lot of love to do it. It's a very different way to look at the people that have hurt us in our lives. But somebody says, okay, I'll do that. So you incarnate, and then this person really hurts you, and you forget all about that it was the plan, and you're so deeply hurt that you want to hurt back. And if you die in that feeling state of that unforgiveness, it's like you set up a test, but you didn't quite get there, so you can always retake the test. You reincarnate, and you have the same soul or a similar situation, and you get to practice it again until you finally master that forgiveness, and you say, you know, no matter what anybody does, I'm going to forgive everything. For me, the model is Jesus on the cross, that as he was hanging there, he didn't say to the Roman soldiers, my dad's really going to get you for what you did. What did he say?
Forgive them, Father.
Forgive them because they don't know. They know not what they're doing. And we really don't know what we're doing when we hurt others, because that sets up a karmic bounce effect. What we hurt comes back to us so that we can experience that pain and know better the next time. That's the model. So, really, all time is now. All of the past time is going on right now. And when we change the now, it changes the past. And when we change the past, it changes the now. There's a thing called torsion wave, a torsion force, researched by Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kozyrev. And torsion goes out forward and backward from the present moment. And it's a scalar wave, so it's going forward and backward at the same time. So that's how when you change something now, it changes the past. And when you go to that past life, heal the trauma, it changes the feeling now. Closes up that open wound.